All right, let's get
Are we
started for
record? Oh, we
patrons.
are recording for patrons. Okay, good.
Now we
Okay,
are. Hi,
that's the record you're
patrons.
talking about. Hi,
That was
patrons.
that was one of them. We do need to
One
jump
report.
quickly into our topic. We were just talking about Shane has finally got onto the White Lotus bandwagon, and so is
I'm finally catching up on pop culture things that I've been missing for many years. Like, so now I'm watching shows that people talk about. I'm playing video games that people like. It's really kind of nice to be
and I've
caught
been
up.
reading a lot lately. Like I'm currently reading four books. One of them, by the way, if you probably heard about this one, is Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green.
Yes, I've seen that and I've heard it's really good, but I haven't
It's
watched it yet
fan
or read it
fucking
yet.
tastic. It's short. It's not very long. I'm about a third of the way through it. I just started it last week. I've only been reading it for a week. I'll probably finish it next week. It is super engaging, really well written, and super informative. And maybe we need to talk about tuberculosis on here. So,
That would be great. You know what I just finished reading? What that was also really great. I read it in like a day. Was Mark Hoppus's book.
oh, nice. I didn't know you had one,
So he
but
just put out a book. Yeah, it just came out. It's called Fahrenheit 182.
ooh,
And
so clever.
it's it's about like how he started Blink 182 and how that happened and then how they broke up and then his cancer diagnosis and all that stuff. So like some things that were really fun that he reveals in it, and I won't spoil too much, but like he went on a date with Melissa Joan Hart. It did not work out. And he also helped the military catch Saddam Hussein.
Whoa, my gosh.
Yeah, it was wild. So,
Uh, wow, you've really selling doing the hard sell on this book.
dude, it's great. It's just fucking funny. Like he just talks shit about Tom the whole time, which is really
Yeah.
fun. It's so good.
Most of us kicked those band members out, and he did, but then he brought him back.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like so Tom quit. He's a dick. We're moving on. And then like, he would like he just makes like he jabs at him the entire time, which is great. At one point in time he references Michael Jackson. He's like, "Can I mention him?" Like he does in parentheses, "Can I mention him?" And then he mentions like in the next sentence Bill Cosby and he's like, "Can I mention him?" So
That's really funny.
he's fun. He's it's very fun.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, I am all queued up and ready to go.
Let's do it.
All right, three, two, one, go. Welcome to Why We Do What We Do Mini. I am your host, Abraham.
And I'm your host Shane.
We are a psychology podcast. We talk about all of the things that humans and non-human animals do, and we sometimes do these. Well, not sometimes. Every week we do these short episodes. It's just a quick dive into a thing, and sometimes that dive is into the history of a word.
Yes, and so today we are talking about the history of the word hostage, which seems to be in the lexicon these days. And so we're talking about this a lot, and I think I don't know. I'm excited to get into this because I like world history and I like some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. So I think this will be fun.
Yeah, I mean, you might hear that and be like, "Well, that's boring. I don't want to hear about the history of a word." But we're going to start with mythology, mythology, not mothology. Mothology is something different.
Different study.
Yeah, different study, mythology. And I'll start with a little introduction here, which is that the meaning of words they shift and change over time, right? And sometimes unpacking the history of a word can actually help deepen and appreciate or deepen our understanding and appreciation of our language, if you can, for English, and how we got to where we are, right? And further, it can help us see how some of our language may have shaped broader cultural practices in a kind of unique way, which is the case with this word today. So let's talk about Norse mythology.
Yes. So, by the way, as a bonus recommend for this episode, if you get a chance to read Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology book, it's incredible.
Nice.
So if you like American Gods and Sandman, he does like a fictional accounting of Norse mythology, and it is incredible. So anyway,
Lovely.
so so in Norse mythology, the gods typically belong to one of two tribes: the Aesir, spelled Aesir, and the Vanir, Vanir. The Vanir gods used powerful magic, whereas the Aesir gods did not.
Now, these two tribes of gods in Norse mythology, they actually got along pretty well until the Vanir god Freya visited Asir, also referred to apparently as Asgard, under the
Mhm.
pseudonym Hyther, which is spelled with letters that don't have a name in English. I
There
mean,
you
some of them do,
go.
but some of them
Yeah.
don't. And so Freya, she's magical. She comes from this tribe of gods, the Vanir, who practice magic, and the Asgardians are very impressed with her magic abilities, and they sought her help in many things because she was so powerful and had all these cool tricks that she could do. They're like, I need this thing. There's a god right there who can make things happen. I'm gonna go ask her.
Yeah, she's magic as hell. I love that. Um, so eventually, the Asgardians realized or decided that Hathor was sort of the cursed monkey paw wish granter, in that Freya, Hathor, was actually selfishly capitalizing on them whenever they employed her magic. So she was just basically benefiting from them using her magic.
Yeah, she'd sort of give them what they wanted, but with a twist in a way that benefited her. So it was like it's the monkey's paw thing. It's like I'm gonna do this differently than you sort of thought. There's the really funny sketch on the TV show What We Do in the Shadows where they find a genie, the jinn, and
Uh,
he's trying to work out how to wish for the largest penis. And they're like thinking of all the caveat. They spend like, I want to say days thinking of all the ways the genie could misinterpret that. And right before he makes the wish, he he puts in the caveat like you can't make it so that everyone else's penis in the entire world is super small. And the jinn was like, I was going to do that.
that's pretty
It's,
great. I think I
so
love monkey paw jokes. That's pretty good.
that's a really good one. All right. Anyway, so we're talking about the Asgardians here. They're really mad at Freya because they feel like she's been using them and sort of twisting their wishes and whatnot. And they're upset and they hurt. They're hurt, and so now they call her Gulvig, which means gold greed. And they're like, we're gonna call you names and we're gonna try and kill you. And so they try and kill her by burning her alive. But of course, she is a powerful magic being, and she simply reemerged after each attempted murder that they threw at her. And eventually, this confrontation between Vanir and Aesir bursts into an all-out war. Okay, so I told you this is going to be an exciting episode.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the Aesir used traditional combat weapons, whereas the Vanir used often subtle magic. And at various times, either side had the upper hand, but eventually they grew tired of battle and called a truce.
Okay, and so as part of this truce, each side sent hostages to one another to help secure and ensure the terms of the truce. And so what happened is Freya and some rando who apparently important named Njord went to live in Asir, while two new characters, Heinir and Mimir, went to live in Vanir. So essentially, the Vanir sent two people, Freya being one of them, to Asgard, and the and Aesir, the Asgardians, sent two people to go live in Vanir, and those were called hostages.
Yes. So Freya and Njord lived peacefully in Aesir, but Heinir and Mimir had a more complex ending. So long story short, because mythology has all sorts of twists and turns, no matter which mythology
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Yes.
There's lots of, I mean, there's like we have a whole mythology that you hear about all the time where like some guy turns water into wine and like makes all this fish and bread and shit like that. Like he does like all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah.
and then like he dies and comes back 3 days later, and he's his own dad. It's weird. So mythology is strange. So in this story, long story short, Mimir was very bright and clever, while Heinir was very simple and dumb. But Mimir gave Heinir advice, which he constantly listened to and took, and the Vanir assumed that Heinir was very clever and constantly used him for counsel and advice. When they discovered that he was actually a simpleton, they furiously killed Mimir and sent the head back to Aesir. Lots of ears in this.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
Yeah,
The words need to end in the sound ear, apparently.
yeah,
Anyway, so that is the Norse mythology piece here understanding. But as you might have caught on, what was kind of unique is that when they sent hostages who were natives to Vanir to live in Aesir and vice versa. Like the Asgardians sent natives of Asgard to go live in Vanir, and that was the hostage exchange. In podcast, the hostage exchange is ads.
yeah, man.
Okay, we're back. So, as I said, what I think was interesting about this story and why I wanted to talk about this is because of its like the way to communicate the use of that word as it related to Norse mythology seemed very fun to
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Anyway,
for sure.
well, the word hostage here, and as I said, when they sent that, they were the native, the people who belonged to those different tribes to live with the other tribes, and in fact, these were very important people, right? Like Freya wasn't just someone; she was very important, and
Right.
and she was the one who left and went to live with them. So the original word hostage, an old French, possibly ostage. It meant kindness, hospitality, rent, tribute, compensation, and guarantee. I think it evolved through sort of different meanings, but you can see sort of the through line that connects them. It has to do with this, a lot of it being sort of resident, if you will, I think is a very common one, but in a way that
Sure.
like hospitality was always really important back in this time and still it is to some people. And this may have a word emerged from the word host, meaning which is spelled Hoste, meaning guest, host, or landlord, and that sort of turned into ostage and became hostage. And so you can see how like hostage and host and how they have like very similar roots, which is kind of, I think, interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Now, in this sense, the word hostage referred to somebody who serves as a security or a guarantee for the fulfillment of an agreement, right? A hostage was a citizen of the country brokering peace, offered as a tribute to the enemy as a way to say, "Here's one of my important people. I sent them to you as a guarantee that we will both hold our end of the bargain with this peace treaty." And of course, this was typically an exchange, so both parties would get usually important figures from the other side. It was an exchange. It was a mutual exchange.
And you can kind of follow the logic here. Like if I send use someone who's really important to us, and then we go back and we sort of renege on our deal, then our enemy might harm the person we sent to them. So it symbolically represents I'm sending you someone I do not want to have harm come to them because I know that if I hold up my end of the deal and I'm good to your people, you hold up my end of the deal, you're good to our people, and we maintain the peace, then that sort of it's symbolic but very like practically represents that commitment to the shared value of like peace at that time, right? It'd be like if
Right.
the US sent their vice president to go live in another country and that country sent their vice president to us to secure a peace treaty, assuming we needed one and assuming we cared about losing our vice president, which we currently
Sure.
don't. That would be sort of like the analogous situation.
Sure. Right, exactly. Now, at this point in time, hostages in the old sense were essentially gifts to ensure peace. So, how did hostage become to mean prisoner of war? Well, that's kind of unclear, but you can kind of see a very similar idea in what we understand of hostages today, right? Rather than give someone to guarantee peace, you take someone to leverage them as a bargaining chip to try to negotiate peace. Not super different practically or like from a functional standpoint, but super different thematically. Like there may be some more coercion involved in this type of scenario.
Yeah, the moral honor and like yeah feeling in the execution of it, if you will, is very different, but the function's pretty much identical. Um,
Right.
it, it's unclear if people started taking hostages in like some bastardized attempt to leverage the idea of hostages during war, or if that like just emerged as a wartime practicality, like we're gonna capture enemies anyway, and so like we can then use them. I would kind of guess the latter, but I don't actually know. But it's kind of interesting to imagine that they're like, okay, we have always used the strategy where we'll send our enemy someone of ours so that they will know that we're committed to this peace. And then they're sort of like, how about we send them someone that's important to them, but we would hold on to them until like we're basically manufacturing that exchange rather than in a good faith negotiation, putting forth like what that exchange would entail.
Right. So basically what's really fascinating is that hostage used to mean a person usually of high esteem surrendered to the safekeeping of the enemy to ensure investment in a peace treaty. Now it operates the same way, but it's a little bit different in how we get there. Like the outcome is similar, but how we get there is a little bit different.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that that was a fun excursion into
Yeah,
understanding the word hostage, and by couching it in, you also get a lesson in Norse mythology, which is
yeah,
really
there you
cool.
go.
You're welcome.
I love it. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're very welcome. All right. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for recording with me today, Shane. If you like what you heard here today and would like to support us, you can leave us a rating and a review wherever you listen to podcasts. You can leave us comments. You can like, subscribe. You can head it over to our merch store and pick up some merch. If you'd really like to support us and join our club of cool people, you can do so by heading over to Patreon. And there you get some bonus goodies and content, early episodes, and you just get to be part of a really cool crowd. And we would appreciate you. And on our full length episodes, we read the list of the names of people who have committed to supporting us on Patreon because we very much appreciate them. And that's one way that we can show that.
Yes, I love that.
But if you would like to tell us your thoughts on the word hostage or anything else about Norse mythology, or just tell us hi or share any thoughts in general, you can email us directly at info@wwdwdpodcast.com. You can reach us on the social media platforms. Thank you so much to my team of people for helping make this podcast with me. Thank you everyone to listen, everyone who is here for listening, old or new, or whatever. We appreciate you being here. Is there anything that I forgot that you'd like to add before we say our goodbyes, Shane?
Nope, I think that covers it.
All right, well then I think we're good. So this is Abraham.
And this is Shane.
Why we do what we do. Mini is out.
Bye.
That was so efficient. It was crazy how
It was
efficient that
so great.
was.
I know. That's nuts.
That was really fun.
I love it.
Thank you for that. I enjoyed that very much.
Yeah, that was fun. That's a fun episode, man.
Thanks. All right, I'm gonna export. You go to bed.
I'm gonna go
Um,
sleep.
and I'm gonna go get a very late dinner and then probably go to bed.
All right. Well, I will have this uploaded shortly.
Okay, have a great night. Thank you.
I thank you, man. I